Oh.
Uh-huh. Okay. I see. Years ago when I was with Temple, I taught PICO instructors how to teach. And they told me that you should definitely stand 10 feet away from the microwave. And that's what, because they said there's always some little leakage, and to stand at least 10 feet away from the microwave.
I usually stand about 6 inches, stare at it, because I think it makes the food cook fast.
Oh.
So I'm not, I'm very much like a dog when it comes to things like that. I like to stare at the meal to make sure nobody else takes it. But yeah, there's no way that using radiation to accelerate moisture particles can't have some detrimental effect. I think the best way is to heat food. If I had the time, I would just have a crock pot. It'd be a crock pot all the time, just everything in a crock pot. I don't believe in pressure cookers. My mother was big on pressure cookers. I have friends that are pressure cookers. I think that they're bombs that we bring into our houses. I know that they don't explode like that, but it's just the fact.
It's possible, they say.
They can explode. And I knew years ago we had a family friend that exploded, and that scared the mess out of me. And the fact that terrorists are using pressure cookers, I don't think I want to use the same thing to make my food. So it's somewhere in there. Toaster oven's nice. That's kind of single guy. But I didn't know that a man in this country did not have a microwave. That's good. That's good. The diet, the connection between the diet and the raising your children. I think if people just focused on the diet, I think other things would come into play. Just going through that process of the diet, because we let fast food feed our children, and we let TV raise our children, and then we wonder why we don't know them. It's just you've got these strangers living in your house.
Yes.
And there just seems to be so many out of 26 things. I mean, if people did half of them, they'd be off to a great start.
I think so. I believe so.
Do you have any plans for a sequel to the book?
Well, there are a couple of things that I left out that I would like to go back and add. I will think about a sequel. I don't think it's gotten to all of the households, this one edition. And once it gets to every household in communities, then I will think about a sequel to it.
You should do the business turnaround, leadership tips for mentoring subordinates.
Oh. Okay, leadership tips of mentoring subordinates. Okay.
You could just take out the bath section and replace it with hygiene recommendations, because I don't think we should bathe our employees. But I don't know.
You're giving me food for thought. Okay.
Yeah, because when I went through it, it was like a lot of stuff. I think you're thinking because of generationally, I think you're thinking about children, but I think that we've got a lot of children that are in the workplace now, because our maturity seems to be stunned. Men have always been less mature than women, but I think that now it's like half. I see guys in their 20s that are acting like teenagers, and in 30s acting like teenagers, and you get. I'm in my 50s, and I'm starting to feel like an adult. It happens slow. We develop slower, and women half my age will look at me and put their hands on their hips, because that same you're being stupid monkey man thing that's universal.
Well, I do believe in the cause and effect behavior. I know in some communities it's really disturbing to me, and I'm so concerned about the high incarceration rate and the children who are left behind. Boys in some communities who are lacking those male role models, it shows. Yeah. It shows in their behavior. It shows in the choices that they make. And it is a big concern of mine that we revitalize or structure the judicial system, the incarceration process, it really hurts my heart to see so many men, African American men to speak, who are incarcerated and who are not a part of their children's regular everyday lives.
Well, see, I believe that and I've had a couple judges, a federal judge on here, and I believe that if incarceration will make society safer or someone better, then it should happen. But I think I look at it as I get older from a moral, ethical, and a financial point of view. It is costing us too much money to warehouse people for bad behavior. And if the bad behavior is repairable, I think we can fix it for less.
Yes, indeed.
And I'm not saying coddle anybody, but the prison system is a for-profit system that makes money off of incarceration.
That's right.
And in my model, the part of the way to fix that problem is to allow people in prison who aren't in there for felonies, allow them to vote while they're in jail, give them their vote back. Because we have a percentage of the population that we have taken away their most basic right. We've taken away freedom, which that may very well be their own fault, but we've taken away the right to vote. And we fight for that. We have wars over that. And I think that if you're in for a minor crime, it doesn't justify removing that right. You know?
Yes. And the unfairness of, when you go in front of one judge and you look one way, and maybe, you're African American or other so-called minority, for the same crime as somebody else, you might be given twice as much time, or, they'll send you away for a lot longer than somebody else who maybe looks like the judge. I've seen it happen.
Yeah, it shouldn't be as subjective as it can be. I mean, it's got to be kind of cookie cutter and formula with a little bit of humanity thrown on top of it. But you can see, I know somebody's dealing with a situation where a judge read the statement wrong, clearly read it wrong, replied to it and denied them. And in their denial, it's indicating they read it wrong because they're saying wrong things. Submitted it to the judge again. They denied it again. Now it's the judge's ego that's stopping it from happening. They're clearly wrong, but it's like the joke about, the world's shortest list, men who admitted they were wrong, and it's tough because in that position you've got to be assertive, but you don't have to be arrogant, you don't have to be aggressive, but you've got to be decisive in everything. But it's gotten to the point where sometimes people can't change their mind and realize they made a mistake, and they could have done something wrong. And I just think that the judicial system, I think, as much as I want to doubt it, my experience with it has been it works pretty good. It works pretty good at the end of the day. The incarceration system, not so much.
Yes. And they also have programs outside of the city. In Montgomery County, I was able to witness a drug court. It's called a drug court. And individuals who were in there, I think I counted like 33 people. And 31 of them were Caucasian. One of them looked Mexican, and the other one was a African-American woman who had just started the program. And in that program, I think it was 24 months. It was a 24-month program where they give you psychologists and to help you to understand why you started taking drugs in the first place. And they counsel you, and you have to take drug tests, I think once a week or once a month. I'm not sure, and I forgot now. But at the end of that process, they will expunge your felony, that you have no record after that. Now, that's a gift. They actually go into the prison system. They ask those individuals if they want to be a part of the drug court. Now, of course, you'd want to be a part of that drug court if you end up with no record. And you go before the judge, I think once a week. He tells you whether your urine was hot or not hot, or whatever terminologies they use. And so many people go through that drug court, whereas in Philadelphia, they don't have a drug court. So if you make that mistake, if you come from a background where you self-medicate, when you make that mistake, you end up with a felony, and that felony stays with you for the rest of your life.
Well, I think that now I worked at a place that helped adults in recovery, and I'll probably get yelled at by the woman I work for when she hears this, but I think they've softened it too much, and they've created this. When it used to be people were drug addicts, and now they are a victim of the opioid epidemic or whatever.
My,
and they've softened it so much. And the words are very important, and I understand why they're doing it to a degree, but sometimes when you soften things, you take the responsibility and onus away from the people who are doing it. That I'm not a substance abuser. I'm a victim of a disease. This is a disease like cancer.
Yes,
like,
all of a sudden,
it isn't.
When we have the opioid epidemic, it's a disease, and we have to help individuals go through it. But I believe that through counseling and through making them understand why they wanted to self-medicate in the first place, by helping them to look at their lives and how they feel about themselves, I think it can help a lot of people.
Education is the key to everything.
Yes,
it really is, and I think that we don't take the time. And I'm not saying that there aren't people who are genetically disposed to being more susceptible to addiction. But I'm thinking a lot of people are using it as an excuse. I have mixed emotions, and I have debates with other people in emergency medicine, and it's not a popular opinion, but we have Narcan that brings people back from death. It literally brings them back from death. It's an amazing thing to watch. It's frightening. It's not real. It's not all light and everything. It's frightening because people come back angry. They come back angry, and they come back angry and swinging.
Really?
Oh yeah. I've
never seen anybody.
Yeah, they come back angry and swinging because the part of it is sometimes you've disrupted the best high they ever had.
My goodness.
And my question is that if we have this ability, and I think that there should be the ability to help somebody, but you have people that have 4 or 5 times. I mean, at what point are you just enabling them? And that's my fear with all addiction everywhere. At what point are you enabling the person by doing that? And Narcan is not inexpensive, but they're giving it away now.
Wow.
And if they've got the money to subsidize that, but there's people dying because they can't afford to buy their insulin, then something's wrong. Yeah. Something's out of balance, and that just we're trying to help, but we're trying to help what's popular and not what's right. I mean, I think the guy who can't afford his insulin deserves some assistance too. He's clearly somebody who didn't choose it, but it's getting tougher. It's getting tougher because there's more options, and then you have doctors have now done a counter swing where they used to just throw opioids at you for anything, and now they don't want to give anything.
I hope they don't.
Well,
because they've developed a whole new opiate culture.
They have.
Thousands are dying.
They have
in the nation on a regular basis.
It's bad, and I know that I used to not years ago. I would go in for something and they'd give me pain medicine and I wouldn't take it. As I've gotten older, I do take the pain medicine, but I'll get a bottle with 10 of something in it, and 5 years later I look and there's 8 there. Because I've taken 2 at the beginning. I haven't taken it. I like to know it's there if I need it, from that root canal or that wisdom tooth or whatever. And then you get rid of it. But there's some people that just feel they have to take all the pills they're given. Now, you can power through it. You can power through it after the first couple of days.
Well, you know what I feel the bottom line is, and one of the reasons I wrote my book, is that people who take drugs, they don't feel too good about themselves. If you have to self-medicate to escape from reality,